Mind mapping is a very effective learning technique which can be a game changer when used properly. Unfortunately, many people seem to disagree on what mind map actually is and how it should be drawn. In this video, I'll share with you how I personally draw my mind maps in a way that helps me a lot, as well as some general rules for creating mind maps that I think is usually overlooked. If you're ready, buckle up. My name is Artem. I'm a computational neuroscience student and researcher. Here we explore mental and digital tools to help us study and learn more effectively. If you're interested, consider subscribing to the channel not to miss anything. Today we'll talk about mind maps. But what is a mind map in the first place? And more importantly, why does it work? Essentially, it's a way to represent information in a non-linear fashion. Usually when we read texts or listen to lectures, everything is laid out from start to finish in one straight line. But the thing is, it's not really natural for us. In the human brain, information is embedded into dense networks in a non-linear way. Everything is intertwined and branching out. That's why when you read the text from start to finish, it takes some time and cognitive effort to process it. Namely, translate it from linear to non-linear volumetric neural representation. And mind maps can accelerate the process of creating this structure in your head. Another fundamental feature of mind maps is that they appeal to visual sense. Circuitry for processing images is evolutionarily much more ancient and computationally way more powerful than circuits for text processing. Thus, the saying which goes, "A picture is worth 1,000 words," is totally neurobiologically justified. Innate preferences for bright, colorful images is rooted deep within us. And it would be a total waste not to utilize such outstanding processing capabilities of visual cortex when learning new information. This is exactly where good mind maps tackle into, but more on that later. A mind map is basically a radially divergent structure where in the middle you write down the central concept you want the map to be about. From there, major ideas start to branch out in every direction. These leaves in turn branch out and subdivide even more. Let's see an example. Suppose I'm reading the text on different tissues of the body. So in the middle, I would write down tissues. And since there are 4 main types of tissues, I draw 4 branches respectively. For example, I want to depict the main information about epithelial tissue, namely that it is comprised of cells that are packed together very closely, which constantly renew. It covers our skin, mucous membranes, and can also be found in glands involved in the release of different secretory products. Its main functions are protection and exchange of chemicals. And similarly for the 3 remaining types. Now let's talk about very important rules which make or break the whole idea of a mind map. Hierarchical and separable. This means that branches shouldn't intertwine, merge, or be clustered together. Each sector should be visually distinct from the others, so that the hierarchical tree-like structure is prominent the second you look at the mind map and it's very easy to read. Colorful. As I mentioned, we want to make use of our visual cortex, and one of the best ways to engage it is to use colors as much as possible. By stylizing the branches and leaves into different colors, we instantly hook our visual attention. Use of pictures. This one is key. For every entry, i.e. the leaf of a mind map, it's much better to use an image to express the corresponding idea rather than write down a word for it. Even better if the pictures are your own. You don't have to be an artist, just scribble something that would remind you of that word. These little pictures express your own personal associations, and they work much better than fancy, beautiful icons drawn by someone else. The only scenario when I write down words is when I deal with specific terminology or definitions. Don't be too hard on yourself. If you don't know how to draw something that would make sense, just write down a word for it. It's not the end of a universe. As long as your mind map doesn't look like this, a couple of words every now and then is totally fine. Brief and valuable. You shouldn't try to fit into the mind map everything there is to say about the topic. Rather, the images should serve as shortcuts, anchors for your brain to fill in the rest. It's a very compact version of information. in the same way that zip archives compress the data. Then, just by glancing a very quick look at the mind map, you'll instantly know what you meant by all these images, and you'll be able to unpack the information. Also, don't include in the map everything that's obvious that you already know by heart. It would be a total waste of time and map space since it's already present in your brain in a proper structure. For example, if I was drawing a mind map on a human heart, then I wouldn't include a separate node to depict the fact that it pumps blood. Because this information is obvious, it's not new, hence it doesn't bring any value. Do less than 5 divisions of each node. As a general rule of thumb, try not to divide a node into more than 5 branches. This has to do with the capacity of your working memory. Generally, humans can only hold up to 5 separate elements or chunks in their head. That's why if a node has a lot of branches, there is a good chance that you'll essentially forget a portion of them. Plus, at some point it becomes totally unreadable. Since pictures are so essential for mind maps, I'm a huge believer in hand-drawn maps over software-generated ones. Because any software, no matter how fancy, provides a limited functionality in appearance, arrangement, and most importantly, images. That's why I don't use any quote-unquote mind mapping software. I simply draw everything in Notability on my iPad as if on a piece of paper. If you don't have a tablet to draw on, don't get discouraged. iPad only makes it a little bit easier, but it's not essential. Fundamentally, it's the same thing as paper. So just grab a notebook, preferably of a larger size, and a couple of colored pens and start drawing. You shouldn't really worry whether your mind map looks great or not. They're not usually meant to be shared with other people. Instead, they are like little external cheat sheets for your mind, specific to your own personal way of thinking and visual associations. In fact, a good mind map usually cannot be read by anyone other than its creator. And finally, the sooner you start, the better. A series of mind maps drawn with a pencil on a toilet paper that actually help you to establish the structure of a topic in your head provide much more value than a single mind map which is fancy looking and consumed the same amount of time because you were playing with fonts and customizing the icons. That's all I have for you today. If you want me to cover some specific topic, leave suggestions down in the comment section. I'd actually be happy to find out what you're interested in. If you like the video, press the like button, share it with your friends, and consider subscribing to the channel not to miss anything. Stay tuned for more interesting stuff coming up. Goodbye, and thanks for the interest in knowledge.